Joining us, former Ohio Governor and MS Now political analyst John Kasich, co-host of the Weekend Primetime and economics editor at The Bulwark, Catherine Rampell, and professor of economics and public policy at the University of Michigan and host of Platypus Economics, Justin Wolfers. This arch, Catherine, this very, very, very big arch, along with all of the other symbols of Trump around Washington, what does it say to you?
Well, it says to me that Donald Trump is maybe a little bit worried about how he will be remembered when he leaves office. Usually you have these kinds of monuments to great leaders after that leader has passed. We have the Kennedy Center. What was the Kennedy Center in any event? That was a Kennedy Memorial Center. We have the Lincoln Monument. That was built long after Lincoln himself had passed. Same with the other Jefferson Monument, the MLK Monument, et cetera. That's because society has collectively decided to come together and honor these great leaders for the legacy they have left behind. Donald Trump, it seems, does not trust that those he leaves behind will remember him quite as fondly. So he wants to see his glory reflected back upon him while he's still kicking. And I think that's what happens here. And I think that's, at the very least, besides being fiscally irresponsible, pretty politically tone deaf when put against the split screen of what is actually happening in this economy while he is frittering away hundreds of millions, if not billions, on these monuments to himself.
Governor, just on the psychology point of this for another moment, Donald Trump has won 2 presidential elections. He enjoys an incredible base. Where are you? Come back into the screen. He enjoys an incredible base of support. People that love him. They wear his name on their shirts and their hats, and they have giant flags, and they support everything he does and says, no matter what. Why is he not confident that he's going to be remembered after he leaves office? Why does he feel he needs to do this all himself?
I mean, seriously, I'm listening to this. The one thing I can say is it's a good thing that the arch is not going to be taller than the Washington Monument. I mean, think about this. The ballroom. It
is going to be taller than the Washington Monument.
No,
it is.
No, than the Lincoln Memorial like that.
Oh, Lincoln Memorial. You're right. You're right. Lincoln Memorial.
That might be the next goal of the Washington Monument. But
oh, gosh.
Listen, the situation is that, we got a situation where gas prices, are just unbelievably high. All prices are high. People are struggling. And look, when he was going to do the ballroom, he said that the ballroom is going to be paid for through private fundraising. Now, all of a sudden, the people up on the Hill, these Republicans, now they want to spend money on the ballroom. I don't know who's going to pay for the arch, but look, the only thing that matters, I've told you this how many times, is this right here. This is the wallet. It's not very fat, but this is the wallet. And this is what's going to matter in the midterms. And maybe he's doing all this because, look, the fact is the Democrats are going to win the House of Representatives. And then the question gets to be what happens. Is there going to be a coming together of Republicans and Democrats, or is this just going to be the Democrats blocking? I don't know. And he's keenly aware of this. And so I think the situation is jam everything I can now, and then we'll see. But I think even the people that are supposed to advise on these things have said they don't want the arch. Everybody can figure out the ballroom. I mean, honestly, Kat, it's easy, Katie, really to kind of cry about this. But at some point, we got to laugh at some of this stuff. I mean, what else can we do? It's really
your phone can't take it. It's rolling its eyes and falling backwards as well. I mean, it is, Justin. There's a base level absurdity to all of this. It's so over the top. It's a cartoon caricature of what somebody who wants to be a king would do.
I think he's got it all wrong. Frankly, I had a chat with my kids. I talked about building an arch in the backyard. I thought it'd be terrific. And they said, actually, an arch, my kids are very good economists. They said, you can't do anything with an arch. We put in a zip line, and it's fantastic. So my suggestion to the president is a zip line. People love zip lines, and you zip across Washington, D.C., you soak it all in, you probably see the new colour, the reflecting pool. Katie,
What are
take
we
me
talking
seriously.
about?
I have
This
a
segment has
PhD in
gone
economics from
completely off
Harvard.
the rails.
The insurance costs for that would be
John's phone
pretty
is
high,
falling
Justin.
down. You're talking about a
love
zip
an
line.
idea
What
of
is
a
going?
zip line. Look, these guests you get sometimes, they're so good. Think about the creativity of a zip line. This is really, really good. The kids can figure this out, you know?
All right, let's bring it back. All right, Wall Street Journal on Republican frustrations. Catherine, I'm going to give this to you. Trump has at times frustrated some Republicans by spending so much time on the construction projects, such as the White House ballroom and a 250-foot triumphal arch, as well as the renovation of the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. He's publicly fumed about judicial decisions related to the ballroom, even as his aides have tried to shift his attention to domestic policy plans to motivate voters ahead of November's midterm elections, only underscored, Catherine, by the other day Donald Trump asked whether he takes Americans' finances into account when he's thinking about Iran, and he says no, not at all.
Yeah, look, not since Cinderella has someone been so utterly delighted by the prospect of entering a ballroom here. And that just tells you a little bit of how out of touch this president is on the issues that matter most to the American people. I think the ballroom itself is bad. It's emblematic of government waste. It's evident of the president's narcissism, of the potential favor trading that could be going on behind the scenes for those quote unquote donations that have been given for this ballroom. But the real problem is that this ballroom is happening in real time alongside, again, this split screen of the real economic suffering that is happening out there. Now, it's not as if the president couldn't walk and chew gum. He could potentially try to do things to improve the economy and also build all of these monuments to himself, including a ballroom in lieu of the East Wing. But he's not. And he is choosing to spend his time looking at, the marble finishings and renovating bathrooms in the White House and all of these things that are just so emblematic of being wealthy and elite and out of touch and all of the stereotypes that people have projected onto Donald Trump that he has himself embraced, and instead is ignoring the fact that, as you pointed out, his war is raising the cost of gasoline, of diesel, of fertilizer. Eventually, we're going to see much higher costs of food, plastics, almost everything Americans buy. At the very least, he could do no harm when it comes to the economy by not launching these wars of choice, by not having global trade wars, by not trying to politicize the Fed. And instead, he's committing all of those economic sins while his attention is also diverted to these monuments to himself.
Yeah, the
and to a
mirror
gilded
here.
ballroom.
The dichotomy. There's the gold and the lavishness of everything that Donald Trump is surrounding himself with. And then there is the forced austerity that his policies are imposing on the American public. Catherine just laid out a bunch of them, but there's also just the way that they've cut back social services, necessary services in the federal government. I mean, there was a big argument not that long ago about healthcare subsidies, Obamacare subsidies. Didn't have enough money to do it, would not do it. The government shut down for a few weeks because of this, because Americans were going to have these subsidies and they were going to negotiate them. They promised. And then, the federal government got reopened and the subsidies for healthcare have not been spoken about since, Justin.
Yeah, so Katie, today's show, you started off by making my head hurt. Now you make my heart hurt. And I actually think there is that split screen is really, really important. But I also think I want to take a moment seriously on the ballroom and zoom up to what matters. It's great that you've got Governor Kasich here. I actually voted for him in the Republican primary back in 2016. And if he were in the White House right now, he would be worried that there's not enough room, literally not enough offices for smart advisors to do their work, because that's how a serious president operates. They take seriously the idea of any policy issue, and we send it out to advisors, and we want them on computers, and we want them modeling it, and we want them tracking public opinion and all of that. The one thing the White House needs more than anything is office space. And the bloke's building a ballroom. I would fill the thing with cubicles so I could have 1,000 nerds crunching 1 million numbers so they'd be able to figure out what's best for the American people. But this is someone who has, in his own presidency, he's making choices based on whim and mood without advice. But worse than this, he's reconfiguring the central nervous system of the American government such that there's not space for technical advisors to help future presidents get things right. This actually leaves a real bruise and will leave a bruise for generations.